The new Dementia unit is placed in the grounds of Stratheden Psychiatric Hospital near Cooper in Fife. The hospital is in a rural location and has generous green space, and the site selected for both this centre and also a second project currently on site is a south-facing, gently sloping field on the boundary of the hospital. An existing single-storey hospital building sits to the north, and in the distance to the south are views to rolling hills. The centre contrasts in site with the Whiteman's Bray ward in Kirkcaldy, from where all the patients have been transferred. The ward there was placed on the first floor in this 1960s block, with few views and little external space. However, the main contrast between the old and the new is the move away from multi-bed wards to single-bed rooms. At Kirkcaldy, the plan was the familiar hospital double-loaded corridor. Service rooms on one side and deep-planned 6-bed wards on the opposite side with an artificially lit corridor down the centre. Moving to single-bed wards will, of course, inevitably increase the amount of circulation as a proportion of the overall building, with concomitant issues of supervision, in particular at night. With this in mind, it would be very easy to slip into the mistake of making another double-loaded corridor, but we were determined as architects to avoid these dreary spaces. In particular because we have learned that dementia does not necessarily mean inactivity, quite the opposite in many instances. The circulation spaces are seen as opportunities to interact between patients and with the staff, and are of equal importance in our thinking as the traditional social spaces of dining room, living room, quiet room, etc. The plan of the new building is very simple. It is a U-shape which has been made open to the south and the view of the hills. The centre of the U is a garden, or it will be when the landscaping has been established, and the entire building gravitates around this space, which in summertime can be viewed as an external extension of all the circulation and social spaces. Internally, there are 4 types of space. Firstly, there are the non-patient areas, which themselves are divided into a service wing to the northwest and doctors' and nurses' accommodation to the northeast. In addition, there is a nurses' station, which is placed at the cockpit of the building, visible immediately on entry and with views to all the circulation and social spaces. The second type of space is the 18 beds, divided unequally into a west wing of 10 and an east wing of 8, nominally divided into female and male respectively. All the rooms look out to the wider landscape. Thirdly are the social spaces of living room and dining room, which are effectively one space subdivided by a movable wall, with a complete south-facing glass wall embracing the garden, a patio, and the view beyond. These 2 spaces sit centrally in the plan, and the living room merges into the entrance area, so that all visitors to the building immediately become part of the life of the centre. Finally is the circulation itself. On the east and west wings, this fronts the garden with significant glazing and doors allowing patients to crisscross the outside space. Alcoves have been formed within the circulation area and seats placed there to encourage the inhabitation of the circulation space and chance encounters within it. As soon as patients leave their rooms, they feel part of the whole community and part of the landscape. In the central section, where the circulation must inevitably become double-loaded behind the dining area, porthole windows ensure that the landscape is still seen and patients remain orientated as to where they are. The conclusion of each end of the circulation is a quiet sitting area with a view to the south, and also located here are 2 assisted bathrooms. From being the most utilitarian of the spaces, in a way, we have suggested that the circulation is almost now one of the most important. Perhaps the other unusual aspect of this design is the design of the rooms, the residential rooms themselves. These are relatively generous at 16.5 square meters, and each come with a shower room en suite. These are rooms in which patients will eventually conclude their lives, and so we had the idea of trying to give them the impression of being little houses, expressed both internally and externally by each room having its own monopitched roof. In addition, the window in each room has been elaborated to form a window seat for either patients or relatives, and is another prop to assist the idea of sociability. Stimulation through the use of light is very important. Within each bedroom there is always 2 sources of light, and the monopitch roof allows us the opportunity of small clerestory windows, so that there is every chance to have the sensation of moving sunlight in each bedroom at some point during the day. Within the circulation areas there are occasional coloured glass panels, and these spaces also have small high-level windows on the opposite side to the main glazing to ensure that there is always sunlight present. These high-level windows have also been coloured. Finally, for us, this is a new type of building, and it has been an extremely interesting learning curve. Whilst many individuals were involved, crucial to the design was the direct dialogue between ourselves and the nursing staff who have so much experience at Whiteman's Bray and whose dedication shines through all our conversations. No amount of design guidelines can replace direct dialogue between those who use the building and those who design it. In addition, the project is the very first kind in Scotland to be delivered using the NEC3 form of contract as a pilot project for NHS Scotland frameworks, and we were part of the Interserve team in bidding for the commission. The University of Stirling's Dementia unit was also consulted. As architects, we pride ourselves in trying to understand the social issues of a brief. Christopher Alexander's Pattern Language is a much consulted book in our office, and it reasserts the timeless qualities which mark out successful buildings from those which ignore social patterns. We will be monitoring the way in which the staff and patients settle into the new building to see what we can learn for possible future projects. In the meantime, however, we are constructing a second centre alongside, dealing with very different types of patient, short to medium term organic and functional patients whose accommodation is centred around 2 inward-looking courtyards. This project is expected to be completed in April 2010.